Present. Arms.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Ordering. Arms. Post. Right. Face. Forward. March.
Let me get into the special reason that we're here this afternoon. We are going to take a moment of silence. Today is Northwest. We want to remember everyone that was affected by 9/11. So I will ask you to bow your heads and say whatever you want to say in a few minutes. Thank you. Now, we'll turn the meeting over to our superintendent, a special presentation.
Good evening, everyone. So tonight is a very extra special night. Probably one of the greatest reasons to celebrate tonight is for someone who is not just a wonderful professional, but also a longtime colleague and friend. Christy Zelita, Dr. Christy Zelita, I'd like to call you up to the table so we can embarrass you for a few minutes. So folks, we have a celebrity in the house. Last spring, Dr. Zelita was named the Connecticut Middle School Principal of the Year and the 2024 State Principal of the Year. The Principal of the Year is sponsored annually by the Connecticut Association of Schools and the National Association of Secondary School Principals. The purpose of this is to bring recognition to the exemplary school principals and to increase the public awareness of just how important a principal is to the life of the school and to the functioning of the district. All of the research bears true that when you have a phenomenal principal, you have great outcomes. Christy, you embody all of those things, and we are so proud of you. The award recognizes outstanding middle school and high school principals that have succeeded in creating quality learning opportunities for students. The qualities are excellent leadership skills, a selfless commitment to staff and students, no one does that better than you, Christy, ongoing service to their community, and contributes to the educational profession. I have watched how you have created food drives, volunteer opportunities, corralling food trucks to help feed your families and the students, organizing events after event after event to make sure that your families are taken care of so that your students can come to school well-fed, well-clothed, and to be happy so that they can learn. So just unbelievable amounts of dedication and commitment to not just the school, but to the community and the families that you serve. One of your greatest attributes, Christy, is that for as long as I've known you, you never stop trying to improve the work that you're doing. You are 100% dedicated to data-driven, evidence-based conversations. Every time I walk into your building, there's another meeting going on in your office where you're looking at a problem of practice and trying to figure out how to make something better for kids, how to dig in deeper, how to raise the expectations, and how to bring your staff along with that. You have a shared leadership style, so you never make decisions alone. You are the first person to pick up the phone, you pull your staff members in, you have meetings with just about everybody to make sure everybody's on board before you roll something out. And that means you always have the collective wisdom of the group, but also collective efficacy in your ability to sustain your improvement efforts, which you've been doing a great job of over the last couple of years. You have amazing relationships with not just your staff, but with the families. You get along with everybody from central office, even though we can't always give you everything that you need and that you deserve. and you're always very humble about it, and you always find another way around to make sure that your school gets everything that it needs. You have extremely high standards for excellence. I'm proud to know you on multiple levels. For those of you who don't know in the room, Christy's been in the district for 22 years. 7 of that as a principal and former associate principal, where she helped to kind of corral all 3 middle schools at a time when we were changing and making improvements across the board. She spent 10 years as a phenomenal science teacher, so much so that she was named the 2013 Science Teacher of the Year, Teacher of the Year, and also won a Connecticut Excellence Award for Excellence in Middle School Science. So it is my pleasure to present to you tonight the award that you already won. But as our Connecticut Middle School Principal of the Year, and really, really special, the fact that of all of those principals that were selected and nominated, that they chose you to be the 2024 State Principal of the Year. So congratulations. Yep, you're gonna go in there. Yep. Okay, you don't get off that easy. Okay. Now I'd like to call up Mayor Roberto Alves, Charlie Santos, and Councilman Britton to come on up. And you also have another special citation tonight. You can, yeah, go right
I'm loud enough, right? Do I have to get to a microphone?
That's fine.
I'm going to be fair. I'll bring you up here too. This is from the city.
And
of
Rachel,
Danbury.
I'm sorry, and Rachel Chaleski, hi, thank you for coming.
So we also wanted to recognize you for the great work you do. I can't say you're my favorite principal because I have a bunch of other principals who might kick me on the way out. But I can say you're my brother-in-law's favorite principal. He adores you. So he also sends his congratulations. I was on the phone with him on the way in here. So what we have here is a mayor's proclamation. Be it hereby known to all that the mayor and the citizens of the city of Danbury honored Christy Zeleta, Doctor, as the 2024 Middle School Principal of the Year. Dr. Zeleta, principal of Rogers Park Middle School, has been named the Connecticut Association of Schools 2024 Middle School Principal of the Year, a testament to her exemplary leadership and commitment to fostering an inclusive and high-achieving school environment for all students. And Dr. Zeleta's innovative and data-driven approach to education has transformed Rogers Park Middle School, implementing restorative practices, culturally responsive teaching, and numerous initiatives to address students' diverse needs, making her a role model for educational leadership within Danbury and across Connecticut. And Dr. Zeleta's dedication to academic excellence, student empowerment, and school community building is evident through her initiatives like the Road to Blue Ribbon and the empowerment of student ambassadors, which have significantly contributed to both student success and the overall well-being of Rogers Park School community, earning her recognition as the 2024 State Principal of the Year. And be it proclaimed that I, Roberto L. Alves, as Mayor of the City of Danbury, and the citizens of Danbury, do hereby recognize Dr. Christy Zeleta for her outstanding contributions to the field of education and her unwavering dedication to the students, staff, and the families of Danbury Public Schools. Signed this 11th day of September 2024, Danbury City Hall by me, Roberto Alves, Mayor.
If I knew you were gonna wear sneakers, I would have worn sneakers too. I'm gonna get Rogers Park.
Oh, yeah, you don't have
I'm gonna get Rogers Park color sneakers next now. I guess I'll put more. Okay, so there's a. Okay, so these are things right. Okay, there you go.
Thank you. Thank you again. Congratulations. Thank you so much for coming.
Was not prepared for all of that, but I am a very proud Danbury resident. Moved up here, I think it's 25 years now, I was about 45, but I'm just really humbled. First, to the Board of Education, thank you all for your continued support and encouragement. Your belief in schools, in our administrators, in our teachers, our students, is the backbone of everything that we do. I am so proud to represent Danbury Public Schools as the Connecticut Middle School Principal of the Year. And the fact that I was chosen to be the representative for Connecticut in DC next year is blowing my mind. It's an absolute privilege that I do not take lightly, and it is incredibly humbling. It is still really surreal. I do want to note that this is a three-peat for Danbury. I am the third person here to be honored at the state level. Behind me, I have two dear, dear friends. Dr. Smith Davis was just last year's elementary principal of the year, and the year prior was Dr. Perez was the middle school assistant principal. I am among very good company. I would not be standing here or sitting here today without the support of so many people who have truly believed in me, encouraged me, and pushed me to be better. I want to start by thanking Mr. Christopher Roach. He nominated me for this. It wouldn't be possible if he didn't do that. I want to really thank him for his unwavering support, not only as supervisor, but also, and much more importantly, as a thought partner. And he's really, thank you, because you've pushed my thinking and you've helped me grow in ways that I didn't imagine that I could. Thank you for always challenging me to see things from new perspectives, and for your insight into the absolute insanity of being a principal. You've had so many different experiences at different levels, and I do appreciate that, because it's a jungle out there. To our superintendent and cabinet members, your guidance and commitment to our district have been a constant source of strength. And Dr. Casimiro, I look forward to supporting your vision to make our school, or excuse me, not just my school, our district, the #1 urban district in Connecticut. Especially today, but she always goes above and beyond, and I want to thank her for organizing, and anybody else who had anything to do with this, the beautiful reception before here, and I appreciate the thoughtfulness and attention. To my RPMS administrative team, KJ Squared, and my middle school administrators, and my other friends that are administrators, among and between all levels and different levels, and I can't remember where it's called. Like special ed and the CRC and all my other friends. Their collaboration and support have been truly key to our success as a school, and I think as we're moving through as a district. We are truly a team, and I'm very grateful for every day to work alongside and learn from and with such dedicated and talented educational leaders. To the teachers and staff that I have the privilege of leading, thank you for believing in our students' ability to achieve great things. Your willingness to take risks and embrace new, and I know sometimes they're a little crazy, ideas, is what makes our school a place where love, innovation, and learning flourish. I am in awe of your dedication, your resilience, and your belief in our students. Thank you for your trust and belief in me as your chef. Lastly, but certainly not least, right here, my family. Your love and understanding are my foundation. Your support has helped me every step of the way, even when the days are really long. Maybe they roll into the weekends, or maybe they roll into vacation. And I know the work feels like it is endless, because it is. But I would definitely not be here without each and every one of you. In closing, there's a quote by Nelson Mandela. I do love a quote. This really resonates with me. It always seems impossible until it's done. The work we do every day can feel overwhelming. But when we look at growth, success, and most importantly, the impact that we make on our students' lives, it is clear that anything is possible. Thank you all for being a part of this journey with me. Together, we are making a difference. It's just another day at the park.
Before you go, I just want to invite any other cabinet members or board members if they wanted to have a moment to say anything before Christy leaves.
I would like to say, myself, as Gladys Cooper, I've been on this board. I've met you at different intervals and different affairs. You always had a smile on your face, and you knew how to approach people. And I saw that many, many years ago. And I am glad that I had the opportunity to know you.
I just want to say, I feel very fortunate that my oldest son was able to have you as principal. Sorry. You were instrumental in his middle school years, and you helped him with a lot of challenges, and I don't think that anybody else could have helped him in the ways that you did. So thank you.
I would just say this, Dr. Zelita is a visionary leader. She cares deeply about every student in that building, and far past systems and structures and doing what you're supposed to do, she meets the needs of those students in her building every single day through safety, through high leverage and rigorous practices in the classroom, to games outside, pickleball, football, soccer. She's everything you could ever ask for in a leader, and I'm humbled to be a part of this, and she's just an amazing person. Thank you.
Hi, Chrissy. When I first met you, you came into Rogers Park as a science teacher, and it was quickly realized that your skills were going to take you very far. I am just so excited for the award that you've received. You certainly deserve it. You've worked hard, and we appreciate you having you here in our school district.
Going once? Christy, again, thank you and congratulations.
Thank you all.
Thank you. Thank you to your family and staff. If you'd like to stay for the board meeting, you're more than welcome to, but I'm seeing that, okay, you might have other plans. Good night.
I'll be out the door too.
Okay. Roll call, Judy.
Nicole, so Almeida,
Here.
Teresa Hussein, present. Michelle Coelho,
Here.
Kate Canetta,
Here.
Gladys Cooper,
Here.
Dr. Mary Conlon, Lauren Daly,
Here.
Juanita Bush Harris, Juanita Bush Harris,
Say here.
here. Richard Janati, Julie Mariano here, Luisa Sagay, breathing.
Thank you, Judy. So we go down, Lauren, would you do the public participation?
Sure.
The board welcomes public participation and asks that comments be limited to 3 minutes. The public may offer objective comments of school operations and programs that concern them. The board will not permit any expression of personal complaints or defamatory comments about Board of Education personnel and students, nor against any person connected with the Danbury Public School System.
Thank you. We're gonna move on down to the consent calendar. I need a motion for the board to accept the consent calendar.
I'll make a motion that the Board of Education approve the consent calendar calendar is always 24-147 through 24-150 as recommended and in accordance with the exhibits.
Second, by Judy. Any question concerning consent calendar? Seeing none, all in favor, could I hear aye?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion so carried. We have anybody from the education staff? Student representative?
The students said they'll be starting 9:25.
Okay. We're gonna go to our standing committees. First, the Community Relations Committee. Kate?
We had a community relations committee by Zoom on Monday, and I want to thank the members that were able to attend and contribute to that meeting. Our next meeting is not until November, but I do want to make sure that all board members are aware that on the 21st of September, we are having a new superintendent event at Broadview Middle School. It starts at 9:30 in the morning. Feel free, if you can't make it right at 9:30, to come at any time after that. Will also be an opportunity for board members to meet the folks that show up. So there will be information coming out from Parent Square for that, for any parents that might be watching. And you'll be able to RSVP and also submit questions to the school.
Any questions concerning that affair? Curriculum. Lauren?
We have our first curriculum meeting coming up on October 9th, and we will have more information to share after that.
Finance Committee, Ms. Janelle Lizardo. We will find additional information about the finance at our September 18th meeting. Policy, Kate?
We had our first policy meeting last week, and we were closing out the 4,000 series. You'll see that there's some action items on tonight's agenda. And our next meeting in October.
Second.
Thank you, the 2nd of October. Thank you.
We have sites and facilities, Louisa. Did you have anything like to mention about sites?
Sure. So our first sites and facilities meeting is scheduled.
Mike, just make sure Mike's on.
Check.
Hello?
Hello. Sorry, my computer's not free. Our first sites meeting will be October 23rd. It is currently scheduled to be in person prior to this board meeting, but that may change. We were hoping to do a on-site meeting where we would take a little walking tour of the new C building that was renovated over the summer. So if that changes, we will provide more additional details on that as that scheduling gets done.
Thank you. Move down to the action items. We have a long agenda tonight. I'm going to ask you, if you have a question, you raise your hand and I will put you on my list. And we will follow the procedure as to how to go about answering the questions to a particular person that you want to ask. Action item A.
I'll make a motion that the Board of Education approve the revised calendar for 2025-2026 school year in accordance with Exhibit 24-151.
Motion made by Kate,
A second.
seconded by Al. Any question concerning the calendar? What's the change?
Thank you. So there was just a clerical error on the numbering. So it was a typo. And so there was a change in March, and then we when you back it down the calendar, there was a change in June. So the result is that we get out of school on June 17th instead of the 19th. So nothing too substantive.
Just check. Any other questions? Motion has been moved and second. All in favor of the motion, could I hear aye?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion so carried. Action item B.
I'll make a motion that the Board of Education accept for the first reading policy 4137, solicitation by employees, as recommended by the policy committee and in accordance with exhibit 24-152.
Motion made by Kate.
Second.
Judy? Second, okay. Any question concerning the motion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion so carried. Action item C. Teresa?
Oh, I'm sorry. See, policy 4147, period 22/42471, period 1, dash communicable diseases. Motion that the Board of Education accept for first reading policy 4147, period 22/42471, period 1, communicable diseases as recommended by the policy committee and in accordance with 24-153.
Any question, motion made by Teresa?
Second.
Seconded? Yeah. Any question concerning the motion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion so carried.
D, policy 4118, period 4/4218, period 4, dash electronic mail. Motion that the Board of Education accept for first reading policy 4118, period 4/4218, period 4, dash electronic mail as recommended by the policy committee and in accordance with 24-154.
Motion been made by Teresa.
Second.
I hear seconded by Al. Any question concerning that motion? All in favor, could I hear aye?
Aye.
Opposed? The motion is so carried. Al, would you do policy E?
I think she just read that.
She did D.
Oh, sorry. I make a motion that the Board of Education accept the first reading policy 4118.51 and 4218.51 social networking as recommended by the policy committee and in accordance with 24-155.
Thank you, Al. Motion made by Al. Could I hear a second?
Second.
Seconded by Teresa. Any question concerning the policy? Seeing none, all in favor? Could I hear
Aye.
Motion so carried. I know that I didn't get all the board members on the agenda to do action item, and we was trying to arrange it before everyone got here, okay? So I'll start with you people that came late at the next meeting. Now I'm gonna turn it over to the superintendent.
Okay, thank you, Board Chair Cooper. I want to start off by just making sure we introduce everybody at the table tonight who some of you may know or not know, and I just want to make sure that that they are properly introduced. At the end of the table, this is Chris Roche. He is our K-12 Chief of Schools in Performance. That was how when we reorganized some of the leadership positions in Cabinet. Chris is helping to really help me jumpstart the kind of change initiatives that we're putting into place, which really starts with digging into our student outcomes and increasing sort of the accountability, not in a harsh way, but in a way that supports schools and gets everybody focused in on academics and the things that drive school improvement and achievement. And so you heard Dr. Zelina mention sort of the edict that our goal is to be the best urban school district in the state of Connecticut. And that's kind of our first stop. And that's something that we've been talking to every school about, every school leader, every group, that the expectation is that we will be the best in Connecticut in our urban group. And that, one of the things that we're going to be working on is returning back to pre-pandemic achievement levels as, kind of the bottom of the rung, and then working our way up from there. I had some great conversations with some superintendents in the network of urban schools, and we shared a lot of conversation about the challenges that we've all faced, particularly in districts where budgets have been cut back, and sometimes the morale can lag a little bit as a result of that. But we have amazing staff, we have amazing leaders, we have a small but mighty team, both at the school level, the central office level, and at the student support level. And over the next couple of years, I'll be asking this group, this team to work with me to help advocate so that we can get the resources that we need, we can bring the right people to the table, that we can increase the things that we're doing here so that we can put Danbury back on track. This has been a district that I have loved since the minute I started working here a long time ago. And I truly believe that with the right focus and positive relationships and attitude, and a winning attitude, that we can make a move here. And so, Chris, I welcome you to our table. Chris will be joining us once a month. I'm key depending on what the topics will be, and so thank you for coming tonight. And I'd also like to introduce Mr. Ed Aram. Ed came to us at the end of last year while we were in a fiscal transition, and we're down several staff members. And Ed has been with us a couple of times over the years to help us out, and he's been a trusted partner with us. So he'll stay on. We finally just got our last person onboarded into the finance department, so I think we'll be back up and running again, hopefully at full steam very soon. But Ed has been instrumental in helping us to stay afloat this summer, and he's been personally, he's been a great person to talk to in terms of how we move forward, from where we are now. So we appreciate your guidance and your wisdom. So thank you for being with us tonight. When we talk about transportation, I'd like to say a few words because you were instrumental in helping to kind of finalize some of that. So thank you. Right. Sorry if that was a little long-winded, but this is the first one from coming off a long summer, so there's lots to report up. All right, Mike, why don't you, I'm going to ask you to give a staffing update in a moment, but Mike, if you can start with facilities and building projects.
Sure.
And start there. Thank you.
So we had another busy summer working on the buildings. There was new flooring put into one of the pods at Middle Ridge. We've now completed 2 of the 3 pods, so next summer we'll have all new flooring in all 3 pods. KSI, King Intermediate, also got new flooring. Danbury High School saw a lot of work get done. The auditorium was repainted, looks really fresh. And as I mentioned, we'll see in our site subcommittee meeting, the C-Wing Science Lab renovation has begun and was completed. The C4 level was completed this year. C5 is slated for completion next summer. It looks incredible. There's the floors, the tables, all the facilities are state-of-the-art. And we've also made more accommodations for handicap accessible doorways and hallways and such. So it looks great, and we'll take a little tour of that when we get to the sites meeting in October. We added a new learning space in Pembroke after we learned about the enrollment numbers in late spring. We sprung into action to make sure Pembroke was going to have enough space. So we were able to take a larger classroom and separate it into 2 rooms. That work got finished all the way up to the cabinets that are still left to be installed. The cabinets have been back ordered, so we were able to move faster than the supply chain. Those will all be done about October, but it is currently ready to go. They're using the space. There's just no cabinets in there at the moment. And then one new addition to our list here is we've started to work with our architect Fryer, who's done a lot of work for us, to start looking at this building as we prepare to head to the new Board of Ed offices at Danbury High School West in the education complex. We are hoping that this will be able to be used as a learning space for the Reach and Endeavor program. So we've started to talk with an architect about how to reconfigure this space, what walls we have to move, things like changing doors and bathrooms and things like that, just to make sure it's appropriate for a learning space. So that work has begun. We've started scoping it with with the architect. We have an engineer coming next week to start looking at some of the more structural details of it. And we are hoping that everything will be on schedule, and depending on when we're able to move into the new building, it's still TBD. We're working with the city on finalizing that date. We're hoping that this work can get done over the summer, which would allow Reach and Endeavor to begin here in August. That's the plan.
Teresa, I drove by the other day, I drove by the DHS West Kenosha Avenue. I saw that the sign was down. I didn't see the new sign up. It's still the Danbury Academy that's showing.
The one on the street, at the street level, where you turn off the road?
Yeah.
Okay. I'll ask the engineer.
Because I thought I saw one earlier, but like a week or two ago, but now it's like gone and it's like back to the old sign.
I'm sorry, I don't know. I'll find out.
Okay. Oh, that's all right. Thanks. Anyone else have a question?
And I just want to add, that we had a great start to the school year, and the buildings look really good. And so we just, big shout out to our custodial staff and our maintenance staff who really worked hard to get that ready. So we're super pleased, especially with so many different construction projects happening. They're pulled in many directions, so I'm sure they know that we thank them. Okay, Kim, staffing.
Okay, so we have begun to be able to catch our breath in hiring. This year we did, at newest count is 110 certified staff members. That's considerably down from where we've been in years past. So we've had recent years of 175, 200, so 110. We're still looking at some persistent vacancies, particularly in the areas of science. It's been very challenging for us to find certified science teachers, so we are running a bunch of overloads at the high schools. We try to fill those vacancies. We did a pretty good job filling some of the harder to fill areas like math. We had some social studies that is a shortage area this year, some special ed. So we did some pretty healthy hiring across the board, but still had that persistent issue with science. So we're continuing to work with the high school on how to publicize those openings, how to make sure that we continue to look for people even though we are running the overload. So that's ongoing. We did, to date, about 70 non-certified staff. We are down significantly in the areas of paraeducators, what we call tutors, those who work particularly with our special needs students. The numbers of vacancies are high. We continue to look at the manner in which we're marketing the openings. So we have continued to bolster our First Media campaign, which hits social media. We track who hits our website, having seen those campaigns. It's a pretty sophisticated model where we can see by geographics where people are hitting our site, but we're having trouble. A lot of it has to do with salary. That's been a consistent challenge. We are below several of our neighboring towns, and that's made it a challenge. We are still running an incentive, which is a healthy one. It's an $800 signing bonus to folks who are interested in joining us right away. We talk with them a lot about access to the city pension plan and the other benefits that we're able to provide. We've also been looking, particularly at Kelly's group, we've looking at folks at degree status, those who might be interested in pursuing further education to get to teaching status. And so we've been working with those folks and continuing to market this as a pathway to some career. This is not just a job, it's a career, and that's been very much how we've tried to market these positions. We are not alone in that this is a statewide problem. We're seeing it certainly in that area. We're also seeing a lack in safety advocates. The pools are very thin. We've been through all of them in terms of interviewing. And you will see later tonight in executive session, I have a tentative agreement to talk with you about safety advocates and also several others whose contracts were expiring. So we're hopeful that we're going to continue to shake the trees. Mike and I have been working on some stopgap alternatives with some companies that are out there, some vendors. So it requires a lot of collaboration with our union leaders and also to try to craft some agreements with them on how we can transition some temporary staffing in to fill the gaps as we look for more permanent staffing. So those are really our challenges. I did a meeting this morning with our Cali Ed service, our sub-service. We meet every other week for a status update. We looked very carefully over the summer with the number of building-based subs that we had. You might all remember we had 2 in every building at least, quite a few up at the high school, in an effort to reduce costs so that we don't have a lot of unexpected costs, particularly at the secondary level with lost period coverage and ways in which to cover absences. I think we've done a very good job of fine-tuning our assignments now. We seem to be running, it's early, we don't have a lot of absences yet, but we seem to be running fairly well with this system. We have put this year in their 3rd year now attention on the high school, and I'm pleased to report that have seen significant decreases from last year over that lost period coverage, significant savings. We've traded off putting all-day building subs up there in exchange for that period coverage, and that is starting to show some real benefits for us, so we're really happy with that. The size of the sub pool is 240. That is right where we've always wanted to be. It took us a couple of years now since the pandemic to get there, but Cali Ed has a very rigorous marketing program, and so they've been able to bolster the pool, and we've been working with them on acclimatizing some of their folks, making sure that they see safety videos ahead of time, that they're welcomed into the buildings. Kelly Ed just did a climate survey of their substitutes so that we can get some real data about how they're doing in terms of fitting into the system. So that's been working real well, and we're happy about that. Another significant challenge, which we've made some more progress on this year, is in certification. I have found the State Department of Education to be extremely responsive. I think Julianne Frost calls every day to talk to a member of my team. We're at the point in the year where those people that we hire who are certified staff generally are not certified. So we need to work with them on alternative permits. Some of them are real tricky. So, alternatives like a DSAP or an alternative kind of certificate, a generalist certificate, and the State Department has been very responsive. They have their hands full, but they've really been working with us to try to get people in as soon as we can in a way that has them certified and eligible to remain in those positions. So finally, we've had some, as you know, we had some movement of folks in the spring. I'm pretty pleased to report everyone seems settled in. What has happened since I also saw all of you in the spring and then into the summer is those folks who were not super happy about being bumped into 6th grade positions, particularly K-5 folks. We had sufficient openings that we were able to relocate them into the K-5 arena. So I think we've got everybody in spots where they seem to be pretty happy. And I continue to have conversations with those folks about what their career goals are, where they'd like to be. And so I think that ended up on a pretty positive note. So we've been very busy, but in a good way, and I think we're starting to slow a bit.
Thank you, Ken. Okay, enrollment and registration. So I stopped in the registration center a couple times this summer right before school, and it was a very hopping place. So right now, our current enrollment as of this morning was 11,949 for pre-K through 12. We have 682 kindergartners that registered and 487 new to Danbury students in grades 1 through 12. So aside from normal kindergarten registrations, we have 480, almost 500 new students that we didn't have last year. So we'll be making adjustments. We had a couple of places where we had to, one place in particular, we had to add a classroom. We'll be adding a classroom at Great Plain Elementary School. So she'll have 3 first grades over there. And to get the staffing, we collapsed a kindergarten class that had low enrollment. So we made a swap. So we have a few places, a couple hot spots we're keeping our eye on in terms of enrollment and class size, and that's just something that we'll be watching over the next couple of months. As you know, we get our typical surge again around January and February, so we'll give you updates around that time as well. And our official numbers will be kind of time-stamped at the October 1st collection. So we'll be updating you periodically on that. Now I'm going to turn it over to Ed Aram to talk a little bit about the transportation contract. Oh, your questions? Yes, so sorry.
Do you have an idea what grade is like the biggest grade, or do you not know that information off the top of your head?
I have to go back in and look, but first grade was a bit of a bubble. Second and third
All of them are
Yeah,
big.
they're all kind of bubbly.
Okay, all right.
Yes.
This might be pretty much your question before the transportation information. When you do the contract, I assume it was like early August. Now you've got newer students, does that, you need an extra bus or two, does that affect the cost?
So, yes, so over time, so when we make the contract, it's for, you know, the terms and the length and the general, this is how much a bus is gonna cost, or the life of the contract. But if it's an expectation that if we add buses in, that there's an additional cost to that, but it's at the rate that's agreed to in the contract. You're welcome.
Kate? Thank you for the update on the enrollment. Just a quick question about the legislation, state legislation around kindergarten and what age, kids can go in. So, it was my understanding from, the update we got in community relations, that there's approximately 250 kindergartners that are, I don't want to say held back, but, students that did not enroll in kindergarten this year will be enrolling next year. Do we have a sense of what that means in terms of the full
What
kindergarten
it looks
class?
like for next year?
Yeah.
Well, we can anticipate that, it depends. Some students may enroll in a private institution as a result of that, and continue forward or come back into the public schools. But generally, we can expect to see a little bit of a bump probably in next year, and I think it's going to even out after that. Yeah, thank you.
With our enrollment numbers, I don't know if we have a breakdown, but did we see, for instance, like an increase in sped services with new enrollments?
Yes, we have received a significant number of new students that are coming into district with special needs. And so my team has been very active in planning. Right now, I'm happy to report that our current structure as far as classrooms, self-contained rooms, and so forth is meeting the needs of the students that we have in district. But it's certainly something we continue to monitor over time as we know there's more pending referrals. I want to say today I looked, I think there's about 60 students, just over 60 across the district. So that's from ages 3 to 21 that are in the process of evaluation and identification. So that does not mean that they're all qualified, but some of them will. The other part that we saw a spike in is at the preschool level. Many of our friends that were not kindergarten eligible due to age, about 30, remained at the preschool level. So we did add another section, another class. We did plan for that, and it was in alignment with what we anticipated last year. But our preschool has seen significant upticks, almost one class per year over the last 7 or 8 years. Lots of friends in the early childhood area. Which I think is a credit to the work that's done there, but certainly has been a challenge to program, and we've exceeded the capacity of our new school already.
Questions?
How many special students do we typically have? You just said 60 about, what is the typical, like in the past?
We have about 1,800 students with identified needs, so it's around, we hover just around the 15% of our student body or population. That number is a little bit percentage-wise higher at the earlier grade levels, and then tapers off a little bit at the older age levels. But we have seen in years past, we're getting probably somewhere between 40 and 60 incoming students that receive services that did not the previous year. So meaning that they're moving into the district with an IEP, and they require immediate program planning based on those needs. So we don't know them, we're getting to know them, we receive all the records. It takes a thorough review to make sure that we appropriately place those funds.
And then we extended it that 1 year to 22.
Yes, a couple
Right,
years
so that's-
ago, we also, so our high school population, we have the exact number, but approximately 550 students at the high school level that are receiving services, and that's anywhere between typically ages around 14 to 22.
Thank you.
Julie?
I have a quick question. I know that our population with the homeless has been increasing. Do we track or do we know how many homeless family do we serve, or if we provided any other services besides helping register to school?
Yes, so we have a McKinney-Vento liaison. So the McKinney-Vento program is our homeless, identifying our homeless youth or unaccompanied youth. We have grown significantly post-pandemic. We still haven't submitted in our numbers for this year, but I was just meeting today, we're applying for a competitive grant to help support with some of those wraparound services. And we anticipate we'll have just over 80 students and families identified in the district as homeless. We do believe that that's an under-identification, so we've formulated a lot of strategies around how to further identify those students and families. One of our social workers spends 2 days a week going across the district, everywhere from central registration to all of our different schools, to help to train and coach our staff and have those conversations with families. There are many families that don't want to share that information, and I'm sure we can understand, and we try to be very sensitive to those needs. But at the same time, it's important that we identify them, because particularly when we're talking about attendance rates and barriers to access education, and a whole variety of issues we want to be able to support. So things that we do, for example, we are required to keep students in their school of origin, meaning if you become homeless, you still get to stay in the school that you were attending prior. So sometimes that encompasses transportation from surrounding communities. Other times that's in-district transportation from one school to another that might be across town. If the family would like to move or transition, that is an option, but we typically remain students with where they're at. We've done other things like a partnership with Kohl's, where we've been able to support with getting students new clothes, undergarments, sneakers, all of those different types of things, as we don't want that to be a barrier. We've also helped out with transportation services for a variety of different needs to help families to get different places that they may need in the community. Our food resources, we are blessed with a community that has a wide array of different access to different food resources for families, but it's really helping them and linking them up. So our liaison spends a lot of work doing that. Our biggest expense right now really falls within the transportation, as we have many students that become homeless and move out of town. And then we typically work with that receiving town to transport the student back to us or vice versa.
On the same note, the question goes because I noticed the community, quite a few families that they haven't been identified, but I noticed that they're walking around with kids, and at the same time, I don't know if we're taking steps to address those families that has not yet addressed the school, and they are walking around with kids that should be at school.
Understood. So I think, we can certainly, that's hard because I don't know if those children are attending other non-public schools. I don't know if they're homeschooled students. We don't know. So, but what I think we can do is certainly give the name and contact. We actually, we're working today about how to update a link on our website for easy access to families of who do I call when I have concerns. Lisa Basher is our McKinney-Vento liaison, and I work along with her on that. So you can certainly direct the family to our attention. We'd be happy to have a conversation with them.
And if anything comes up, 48 Osborne, right? You can send it to them.
You can go to central registration, correct?
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, thank you, Kelly. Okay, transportation contract. So Ed, you want to talk a little bit about
Yep.
sort of the scope of the contract?
Right, you should have received in your packets, everything on transportation. We had,
Just to clarify, it was in the board, the last update to the board, and it'll be in the next board packet. It'll go for so just
no problem. You received, on the first page was the proposals, 1, 2, and what the final proposal looks like. It's we're in the current contract of 24-25, and then it goes up 2, 4, 5, 5, and 5. We also made a couple of changes on the trip and billing. There was 3 pages of billing, which goes into many different aspects. So they're going to charge, we negotiated $75 flat fee per hour, no mileage for that. Also, there's a flat fee for town transportation of $240, so that's a flat fee. So that. Then I also have given you what it would look like in the next 5 years. Also, remember, next year, I put in there, you may have 10 additional buses because of the new high school. So that's in, if you look at it, that's in the proposal, that's in the next 5 years, what it would look like in budget-wise. increase. Also, I've given you probably 25 towns around us and all that, what their rates are for the last 5 years going forward, 3 years back, whatever, that's in the contract. It's in the document that you received. Contract, again, if a bus is over 10 years old, they will change it. They're changing some buses now. They have not received the new ones yet because of everything is slowed down with busing contract. Remember, you're still using propane, not electric. Electric is a problem. No grants yet to give buses for electric, and as you know, the rates of electricity have skyrocketed. So it's all in the packet. If you have questions, let me know. Again, your question, there was, because of the influx, we did have to include a couple of buses this year because of number of children.
Don't we have a current contract already that expires at the end of this year? This will
Of next year, it
supplement
does expire at the end of next year.
the 2025
Correct, so we're
spring.
changing.
So we're jump starting it?
Correct.
Any other question for Ed?
This one. Was it 4 buses?
Yes, 4 buses.
Okay. I think I remember 6. Thank you. And what the cost of those buses?
Yeah,
What
if
is
you
that?
look at the contract, there are 2 rates, so we divided it up into 2 buses going this one rate and 2 in the other. I don't know if you know, but Kelly is a transportation person, and she's excellent. Just want to let you know.
Yes.
If I have a problem, try to tell you. So, and we're working on out-of-town transportation. We're working together on a list to make sure what the rates are and so forth. Same with special ed. We're working with the tuition special ed. I meet with Kelly and her staff, which is great too. Kelly is a diamond in the rough. Yeah. Is that
She's not that
Let me go find that diamond.
Just to clarify, it's hard to, without the document in front of you, it's hard to look, but it is in the board update. And so I apologize for, having easier to have that conversation with it. That was my fault. So we'll, take some time to just go back and take a look at that. If you have any questions, please send those forward. The goal of jumpstarting it was to try to lock in a rate because things were kind of skyrocketing. And even though we had an extra year left on the contract, we wanted to make sure. And also, with the academies coming online, the bus company needs to know, are you going with us or not? So, because we need to buy more buses, and so they need to make a significant investment for buses that they don't have, and that takes time to order new fleets with the lag time. So we wanted to make sure that we were prepared for when the academies opened up. So.
And check the rates of the different towns around us.
Yeah, it is interesting to
Yes.
look at those. There's a table there you can take a look at that. And thank you for your work on that. Okay, cell phone policy. So we've carved out a couple of dates. We'll have sort of an ad hoc meeting. We'll have a parent representative, some principal representatives, some teacher representatives, and I'm hoping that we'll have some student voice involved at the building level to make sure that we have our bases covered on the cell phones. There's been some policy guidance that has been handed out, a lot of policies for CADE. And, I think you've heard a lot from surrounding towns that are going with a cell phone ban. And while it seems as if it would be just that easy, it comes with a lot of conversation that's warranted. So there's, I think it's important to do due diligence with that conversation and to make sure that we're hearing all of the voices that are at the table. But then also that when we go to implement, that there's full communication on those policies, how the regulations will guide what we do at the elementary level versus middle school level versus high school. And I don't think it's going to take us a very long time to get through that, but I do think it's worth it to make sure that the voices are included so that whatever we implement we can sustain and that we have sort of the collective efficacy of the group behind it, particularly the board, because folks will come here first if we don't get it right. So I want to make sure that we do a good job on that. And more information will be coming out. Yes?
And so as far as the process of that, so once the ad hoc committee meets, they come up with a suggested policy that then goes to the committee. Is that
Right, so they'll make a
policy committee?
Yes, they'll make a recommendation,
Mhm.
and then that'll go to the committee to broker that at the committee floor.
And then before the board as first.
Correct.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
Okay, Spotlight Your School. So we're making a couple of changes. We're going to continue Spotlight Your School, but in the spirit of trying to become the best urban district in the state of Connecticut, we're going to make a couple small tweaks. Mr. Roche, would you like to talk about that?
So we know in the past there are a lot of photos and other opportunities for seeing all the great things happening in schools. We are going to continue with that. However, we do want to have some summary of where the school improvement plans are at, the academic outcomes, so we can monitor that at the board level, you all. Just a summary, but also kind of where we're headed with the school improvement plan, a brief synopsis so that we can sort of progress monitor along the way, and then you're all aware. With that strong academic focus to be the #1 school district in the city, or #1 urban school district in the state of Connecticut.
Thank you. We're going to keep saying that until everyone is
Yeah.
get t-shirt. Okay. Thank you, Mr. Roche. Farm to Table Initiative. So I did put this in the board update, but we happen to have Ann in the back of the room. Ann, do you want to? Sure. Not to put you on the spot, but you were instrumental in getting this off the ground, and it's a pretty big deal, in my opinion.
So the Farm to School initiative is a statewide. It actually started up in Vermont. Connecticut has an institute that fosters schools to join the institute, come on board with a team. So we have Carrie Burke, who is our nursing services, Barry from Sodexo. We have Heather Koshenkio from UConn Extension, Michael Guerrero from the Family Resource Center, and a couple other folks. We're trying to expand that committee with other curriculum coordinators, because the initiative for the institute is built on four things. The first thing is to increase more local fresh fruits and produce into our menus in our schools. Huge thing to just have healthier menus for the kids to eat, healthy fruits and vegetables. Along with that, there is a classroom, a cafeteria, and a community component. Community component is Barry from Sodexo has gone out and visited 2 farms and has worked with the farmers to secure food. We will be doing a taste testing in North Street tomorrow, Ellsworth on Friday, of a apple cabbage salad for our 2nd and 3rd graders to test that. And so we'll be seeing other menu changes. When we do our taste testing in October, we'll all get invitations for that. We'll again be doing North Street and Ellsworth School. But the team is really looking at what other policies need to be changed, what other things that we need to do to encourage local farmers within our area here. When you think about the food and the way the state classifies local, they look at a 300 to 400 mile radius. And so this initiative is looking at something much closer by, as well as including and growing more school gardens to help feed our kids too. So it's, that I'm a gardener, this is something I'm passionate about, and so it fits so nicely. There are some grants coming out to help Barry provide more equipment, root cellars and things like that to be able to store produce in our different schools, and then more materials for our curriculum coordinators to share with our teachers so that it fits very nicely in with our next generation science standards and the work that we're doing in the different grades. So it's a real win-win for the district. So I'm excited.
Thank you. I didn't mean to put you on the spot. Thank you so much. Okay, great. Okay, I think Kate already mentioned that we're going to have a superintendent wants to meet you on September 21st. It's a way to kind of make sure that we get the kids and the families out. We decided to have a STEM theme to welcome to our Danbury STEM Empire that we're trying to create in science. And so our curriculum folks have already started to put together some activities and some fun things for the kids to do their hands-on. Our VEX robotics team is going to come to show the kids what that could look like when they get a little bit older. And then we're going to be bringing some of the academy teachers in who are doing some science with high school kids to come down and see if they can do some of that with our, some of our younger students. So it's a registration process. So we're hopefully, I think we have the first date at 30 p.m. to sign up instantaneously. So we'll be checking in to see that we have lots of families coming, yes.
I apologize, just one step back to the Farm to Table initiative. Being that our growing season is limited, we have enough to go around during the winter?
Well, the idea is to begin the process of doing, sourcing locally. So there are winter, late fall, winter vegetables that are out there as well. And so the goal is to understand where those are, how do we source those, and how do we bring those into the district.
Thank you.
Yeah, certainly less, but there's definitely some. Okay, and the last on my update is we had the board and superintendent governance team training, which was great, and we had an opportunity to be led by Mr. Robert Villanova and Tom Mooney. We learned a lot about some of the things we can do and that we can't do and that we shouldn't do together, but also how to work effectively as a board team. So I think the key word is the governance team, so that it consists of the superintendent and the board of ed. And so I look forward to working with everybody and learning as we kind of try to work together to move the school district forward. So it was great learning. I would welcome for them to come back again in the future as we get going. And we had a wonderful opportunity to work through some different scenarios that were enlightening as to how we would handle an approach. Maybe some of the things that we typically do in meetings that may or may not align with best practice. So we had some great learnings there. So we were thankful for that. But other than that, I think my update is done.
Thank you. My report is brief. I'm going to ask the board members, please read your material for the workshop on the 18th. And if you didn't get it, I think Carol, she will send it to you. So, the survey, Al and myself and the superintendent will be working on the survey, and then we will present it to the full board, and we'll decide when to send it. And we hope either last of September or sometime in October. And the board will share in that survey, because we're not going to just send it out. Okay? Have to be careful what we send. The CAVE, I hope you guys are reading the CAVE information. And I know we all had a fantastic summer. We put the material in a bag and push it over in the corner, so you stay here for 2 months. And then we're going to put it up. So, and when you have the extra time, read the CAVE journal. And we know the convention is coming up November 16th, 15th to 16th. So, I think you can still join up. We have to contact Carol. Next. Before I finish, we did our committees and we didn't talk about Ed Advance much. And I think too many members don't know what Ed Advance provides to the board. So Kate has been that representative for Ed Advance. So I'm going to ask her to speak briefly, about the meetings and where they're at.
So there are 5 regional education, regional education cooperatives that provide supplementary services to school districts, typically at a cost. So that if, for example, you need special ed services for a student and your district cannot afford to pay for those services, you can pay either in advance or when we get the RESPs to provide that service to your district at a reduced cost, instead of having to pay for the salary of that person, whether it's an occupational therapist or a speech therapist, speech pathologist, whoever it is. You can pay per session for a student to receive those services. And there are a lot of different ways in which they provide services. That could be professional development, special ed services, transportation services. There's a whole host of things that they do. So EdAdvance is the regional supplier for Danbury and for a bunch of our neighboring districts. And we have meetings, board meetings once a month. And typically, we're going through similar processes with sort of a different timeline for EdAdvance because it is there's money exchanging hands. So the way that they conduct their business and present their budget is just a little bit different than what we do here in public education. But they've been a really good provider for different services. One of the projects that they worked on recently was the purchase of the workspace in Bethel, which was originally designed as a homeschool facility. It's a shared space for homeschool folks who can rent out different areas and different parts of the building. This building is incredible. If you haven't had a chance to go into it yet, I highly suggest it. But one of the things that they do, and sometimes you'll see it in our Parent Square updates, is they provide after-school activities. They have all kinds of opportunities for students in our district. And it is at a cost, but it's another outlet for families to embrace if they want to. They have a theater program. They were doing welding for a while. They do STEM activities, all kinds of different things that they can offer in that building. So if you haven't had a chance to check it out, I do suggest that. But they do serve EdAdvance does serve a large area, not just Danbury, so we go all the way up to Torrington, and they just completed a renovation for a project up there that's going to help supply more pre-K seats. So that's a rough overview of some of the work that they do.
So the students have to go to Bethel.
For the workspace, to take advantage of the workspace.
So they don't come to Danbury.
I think that they were trying to work out busing for students to go to this facility in Bethel.
I can add to that. So it is considered an out-of-district placement. So it is for a child with special education needs. If the district determines that we cannot meet their needs here in district, it is an option. So through a PPT process, you would make a referral. And these are the students when we talk about out-of-district placed students that need a program outside of Danbury due to some reason. And the workspace has definitely been a solid program that is able to provide both academic, educational, behavioral, and vocational support to children.
Thank you, Kate. Thank you. So, I certainly want to thank each and every board member. And this is our first meeting back officially. And I thank you because when I'm trying to set up the agenda and who's going to do what, it's not about one person, it's about us working together to get this agenda through, the action items through. I'm not going to sit here and do all of it. I want you to participate in it. And when I come, Dawn can tell you, I asked you, no one has said no to me. I think they all agree we are here to work together. And everybody knows me. I'm here about pushing this district forward, that we again be the best district it is for people to talk about and want to come and work. So that's what I'm all about. So thank you again. And at this time, we can go into executive session. Kim?
Yes.
We need a motion to, and if there's no question, go into executive session.
I'll make a motion that the Board of Education recess into executive session for the purpose of discussing negotiations of successor agreements for Teamsters Local 443 Safety Advocates, Teamsters Local 443 School Lunch, ASCME School Nurses, UPSEU Secretaries and IT staff with possible action in public session.
I make a motion that the Board of Education ratify the agreement between the Danbury Board of Education and the Teamsters Local 443 school lunch for 2024-2025 as presented.
Second? Okay, Michelle? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Action item C?
I make a motion that the Board of Education ratify the agreement between the Danbury Board of Education and AFSCME school nurses for 24-25 as presented.
Motion made by Lauren, you second? Julie, okay. Go. See, all in favor, aye?
Aye.
Action item D?
D, UPSEU Secretary/IT Agreement. Motion that the Board of Ed ratify the agreement between the Danbury Board of Education and UPSEU, parentheses, Secretary/IT, close parentheses, for 2024-2025 as presented.
Second.
Second by Kate. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion so carried. Need a motion to adjourn.
I make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Second by Michelle.